Nikki here, just connecting, and I'm going to be sharing a video today on how to reduce stress when we are under pressure, how to build our capacity. But before I start, I wanted to say thank you to everybody that came along to the book launch and bought the book. I was super excited to get to #1 on Amazon in 3 categories, and for a short time I was ahead of Mel Robbins, Let Them Book. So I was super excited to wake up to on my birthday, and I wanted to just share a huge shout out and thank you to all of you who participated, because it was due to all of you that actually took the leap and bought the book, that helped the momentum grow. So a big shout out to you, and a big grateful thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's been a lot to put the book together. Now, for those of you who bought the book, you may or may not know, we have a 1-day event online together this Saturday, a virtual retreat, a reset for overloaded women who want to build calm, who want to build confidence and heart within the way they lead their lives. So I am looking forward to, I've got quite a few people registered already. If you're not yet registered and you've bought the book, please just type in the chat retreat, and I will make sure that you get access to your reset retreat. That's this Saturday, all online, so you can just turn up as you are in your pajamas from home, and like I said, I'm quite the authentic presenter, so I'd much rather you turn up as you are and just enjoy the day of learning together. We'll be going through ways of how to calm emotions, how to build confidence within ourselves, and how to get clear on our direction, as well as a whole stack of other little goodies into the day. So that's what I'll be sharing this Saturday. So if you're not yet registered, please pop it in the chat. I really want to make sure you're looked after. I normally charge for this, but for this week, because it's my birthday and because you guys bought the book, I'll be giving that out for free. So just make sure you're registered. So for today though, I want to be able to make sure that I share with you a little story on what happens under pressure, what happens to us when we're under pressure, and ways of being able to navigate that and build our resilience and capacity to hold pressure. And the reason I'm sharing this is because here's what happened to me in the lead up to the book launch. About 6 hours before the launch, at 11 o'clock, I had been to the gym, I'd cleaned the house, I'd done a few jobs, and I checked my book on Amazon and realized there was an error in it. So I thought, well, I'll pull it down off the Amazon list and correct the error and reload it. And that's when the problem started. It wouldn't reload. So then I go into like a little bit of a panic, like a heartfelt moment of just, I don't know what's going to happen here. So I called IT, I called Amazon, I contacted someone in Upwork. I spent probably 4 hours still in my sweaty gym gear trying to figure out how to get this book fixed and actually up on Amazon so the launch would go ahead. So it was a high pressure situation. And here's what happens to me, and you might recognize this. When you're in a high pressure situation, you can use all your resources to maintain your sense of calm, make clear decisions, which is something that I teach, and I'm normally able to maintain that. But once we reach a point of no return with pressure and we blow out our capacity, like we don't have capacity for this anymore, we can flip to one of two things. The first thing that I normally do is go into what's called hyperfunctioning. So hyperfunctioning means that I start to do too much. I start to run around. I call it my emu. I start to run around like a crazy emu, left, right, no direction, don't know where I'm going. I start to do 10,000 things. Instead of focusing on the one task, I'll now add 10 other things to my task list. And then I feel in a complete stress. So that's where I went. I suddenly found myself like an emu in the house, running left, right, trying to make sure the book was uploaded in time. Now, here's the other pattern that can happen when we have so much pressure that we don't have capacity to hold it and maintain our sense of calm, clarity. For some of us, instead of being hyper functioners, we go into what's called hypo-functioning. So hypo-functioning means, okay, now I've got brain fog, I can't make a single decision, I'm overwhelmed, I'm just going to curl up like a little ball on the floor of my office. Now, I've done both of these things, but my pattern under pressure, if I don't have capacity, is to start being the crazy emu. So I don't know if any of you recognize this pattern with yourselves. So the question that I'd like to pose, just to start as a bit of a learning curve, is to ask you, do you have a pattern that you recognize within yourself? Is it that when you have pressure, now pressure can be in a number of different ways. It can be relationship pressure, it can be a pressure or a deadline at work, it can be pressure in that there's family commitments and there's a lot going on, it can be time pressure. So pressure can come from many different sources. And when we have capacity, which means we have a full fuel tank. Now our capacity can get low for a number of reasons. Like if I'm hungry and tired, my capacity is a bit low. If I'm mentally exhausted or emotionally exhausted, my fuel tank and my capacity can be low. But when the pressure and our capacity can't hold it, we will then resort to certain behaviors. So my behavior, like I said, my breathing was shallow, my posture was hunched, my thoughts were, it's an emergency, I'm now going to add 10 other things to this emergency to make myself even more chaotic, and my energy was frantic. So I would like to just pose the question to you, where do you go when you're under pressure and you don't have capacity? Do you turn into the crazy emu? And the way to think about it is, what happens to my breath? What happens to my posture? What happens to my thoughts? What happens to my energy? So do your thoughts turn frantic and your energy turn into sort of emergency? Or do your thoughts go, I'm in shutdown. I can't do anything. I'm now going to curl up in a ball because that's hypo functioning. And both, there's not one good outcome or another. Neither of them are very resourceful strategies, but it's what happens when we've reached our limit. So what I want to share with you is one way to make sure that we maintain our capacity. Like I said, the good news is the book got loaded in time. Everything was fine. I even managed to have a shower and do my hair in time for the book launch. So it all turned out fine in the end. But so it wasn't such an emergency. But ultimately, what I want to share with you today is how to make sure that your capacity doesn't drop. Now, like I said, your capacity can drop in a number of ways. If you're hungry and tired, suddenly your capacity is dropped. But in your mental fuel tank, your capacity will drop if, number one, you've got too many decisions that you've had to make. Who agrees if you've made like 10,000 decisions in the day, you get home and think, I just don't want to make another decision. This is our capacity, our fuel tank slowly getting lower and lower when we make more and more decisions. So that's one thing that can definitely drop your capacity. Your capacity can be dropped in times of uncertainty. You know, when it's like, I don't know what's happening with my relationship. I don't know what's happening at work, if I'm going to maintain my role, if I'm going to move. I don't know what's going to be happening in my future, where I'm going to be living. I'm planning on moving house. These moments of uncertainty are across our lives, and uncertainty definitely depletes our capacity a little bit, which means in pressure, we can start to find ourselves being the frantic emu or the lying on the floor curled up in a ball, which is what I've done in the past as well. We've all done both patterns, but we tend to have a favorite. So having too many decisions, moments of uncertainty, can certainly lower our capacity. The other thing that lowers our capacity is switching hats too often or wearing multiple hats. Now, what do I mean by that? Just say I wake up in the morning, I'm a family woman and I make breakfast for my family, then I drop them at school, that's my mum hat. And then I get to work and I have to answer 1,000 emails and make decisions, that's my work hat. Then I have to do the shopping and plan for dinner tonight, that's my chef hat. So we have like multiple hats that we wear. And as women, I think we all know that we have lots of hats that we wear. The friend hat, the daughter hat, the mum hat, the carer hat. And when we have these multiple hats, if we try and stack them all one on top of each other, that is one thing that reduces our capacity. That is one thing that will deplete us, which means when we have a little bit of pressure, suddenly we're going into emu frantic or curling up in a ball. So what we want to try and do, I'm going to give you one strategy just to deal with this hat situation. Of course, there's other strategies for decisions, there's strategies for uncertainty. I'll be sharing some of that on Saturday, but just for today, if you're the sort of person that has multiple hats that you wear frequently, it will fatigue and drain your energy. So the one thing that you need to try and do, number one, is wear one hat at a time. Don't wear 3 hats at once. Wear one hat at a time. Try to wear it for as long as you possibly can. You know, that's reasonable. before switching hats. So if you're emailing, set the time aside. I'm going to do half an hour, 40 minutes on this. Once I go to then pick up the kids from school, I'm going to stop the emails. I'm going to take the hat off, and the way I do that is to say done. Even if I haven't yet finished or completed the task, I'm going to mentally, and this is a tip from Richmond Din, my coach, I'm going to mentally say done, because what that does is it mentally closes the tab and allows me to open a new tab. If I don't do that and I haven't quite finished my emails and I have to pick the kids up from school, I'll keep that tab open. I'll be thinking about the emails, picking up the kids, and I've also got my chef hat on, so I'm thinking about the emails and picking up the kids and trying to plan dinner and now I've got multiple hats on. So I know that, and you'll understand this, that if you have a computer with 20 tabs open, that it starts to run slow. So we want to close down tabs, which means when you take a hat off and switch tasks, you simply say done, done, close it down. Write a list for yourself for tomorrow, whatever it is you need to remind yourself to pick it up again. But mentally doing that means that you don't wear multiple hats at once, and it means you close down mental tabs, which improves your capacity, which means when you have a stressful moment in the car with the kids, you can manage it, you can maintain, hold the pressure, you can have capacity to stay calm and focused and decisive without falling into this kind of crazy emu or the rocking in a corner, roll up in a ball in overwhelm. So I hope that's been useful. Just a little share in my own journey in my book launch. And so just one key tip, just to try and help you build capacity so that you can hold yourself in calm clarity, even in moments of pressure, without falling into stress. Thanks for joining, and talk to you soon.